I always thought that I loved myself. I was wrong. Let me explain why. Up until age of 27, I thought that self-love, it is something that comes by default. Something that comes automatically since the day one, since the day you are born. But this is simply not the case. If someone asked you, do you love yourself? You'd obviously reply, yes, of course. I do love myself. Why do you even ask? But if you dig a little deeper inside your personality, inside your life situation, your relationships, your self-talk, situations that you attract, you will realize that maybe you didn't really know what self-love means and how it really feels like. And here is my story. I used to be a nice guy. I was always putting everyone else first, but not myself. I was never rocking the boat. I was never saying no. This led me to be always surrounded by people with much stronger frame, simply abusers that were just taking advantage of me, but not against my will, with the help of my will. I also never directly expressed interest towards girls because I was simply afraid of rejection, of being misunderstood, judged. As a result, I was always friend-zoned. I was always there for everybody. I was always helping, driving around, being a company, listening to bullshit, being emotional tampon. But I always felt like this is not right. Deeply inside, I was like, this is not who I want to be. But I was simply scared to stand out for myself and to say no, to put myself first, because I believed strongly that being nice to people, being selfless, always help people, never have an opinion, don't create any confrontations or conflicts with people. I thought that this way of living, this nice way of living, would help me to be liked by everybody because I really didn't want to be rejected or disliked. That was like a very subconscious and deep belief that I found out years after. And now I can clearly explain it in simple words to you. And that belief and that lifestyle, it felt real, and it felt like the only one at that moment, because in simple words, this is how I learned to survive since childhood. I'm not going to go deeper into childhood topics, but this was grown from there. And as every nice guy's story, I went through a couple of heartbreaks, which was inevitable and obvious. And from that, I can say that heartbreaks build self-love. It took me a couple of heartbreaks to start facing my own self. Those situations, they served like a mirror, like a reflection of who I was. And that reflection was really ugly. It wasn't pleasant to look at. And it wasn't pleasant to realize that was who I am. But I put myself together and starting to work my way up towards better me, step by step, very slowly. Just working with what I got at that moment and trying to work it up. Fix little things, day after day. Grow your self-love consciously. Once you bring awareness to the fact that, all right, maybe I didn't love myself in the right way, or I didn't love myself at all, or I never thought about this. But from this moment, from this breaking point, which everyone had or will have in life at some point, only those moments will break you and make you face yourself at that moment. Because when everything is good, you don't really want to change and you don't really improve or become aware of things. It's when you get a fucking slap in your face, you're like, "Ooh, all right, now I have to change something." Or when you broke 2 or 3 times, something broke you 2 or 3 times into pieces, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna pick it up and build my own self again. This life force is actually serving you. It's painful, it's unpleasant, but something good comes out of it, I promise you. So from this moment, you will have to start growing your self-love consciously. For me personally, I started with self-talk. It started with me paying attention to my inner voice. I started listening how I talk to myself, and it was really bad. It was very judgmental voice and very criticizing voice. This voice and self-talk was holding me to unrealistic standards and expectations, was really strict, was putting myself constantly down. It was just like that bad teacher, that rough teacher that is not concerned about your feelings or whatever you are. It's just like, do this. It's like the soldier in the army, like whoever commands the soldiers. It's just very rough voice. Like whatever you do, whatever I've done that was not enough or was not good enough, and from that moment when I started to be aware of it, I realized that it's not serving me well. It's just putting me down and I feel bad. From that point, I started to take steps to change this self-talk. Journaling helped me a lot. When you put out your thoughts and you see how much negative stuff you run through your mind, your thoughts, how much negative stuff is in there. And from that on, you take some elements and you switch them up to something positive. First, you have to do it forcefully. Think of it as rewiring your brain. It will take a long time to establish new neural connections and new way of thinking, hence new way of talking to yourself. Switch that voice. I read a lot of books, I did my research, and the root of that voice is your parent, one of your parents. And that voice was internalized in a childhood. But that is not your voice. It was installed into you by Matrix. Just look at it this way. And now you have to uninstall it and reinstall the new one. You have to be updated version of yourself. You cannot run on the old programs. 20 years outdated. Start now. I used to see a therapist, and I see a therapist sometimes. And this trick helped me to move first little steps as talking in front of the mirror. And there was something like 5 things I'm grateful today, 5 things why I love myself, and 5 things what I'm grateful of what I'm going to be. Regardless of technique, it doesn't matter. You have to get the the point, that you have to get the direction and why. You have to forcefully talk yourself into loving yourself. You say, I love you. I'm proud of you because blah, blah, blah. And every night I was coming to the mirror and say, I love you, man. I'm proud of you. You did this today. And I love you because you did this today. And I will love you regardless if you do this and this and that. So you have to rewire and teach your brain that you love it. You love yourself. Do it for a month or two. Install the new habit. And every time you think of something negative or judgmental towards yourself, criticizing yourself, be aware of it. Stop at that very moment and switch it up. Say something positive. Little by little, just like a river running through stones and makes them really slick. This what awareness does to your mind and your being. It's really powerful. I managed to switch up my self-talk, and now it sounds like my best cheerleader, my best supporter, is the biggest fan of myself. And this is how you walk through life. I can definitely recommend Joe Dispenza book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It has tons of pages with technicalities on how to rewire your brain on a certain emotion, on a certain thought, where you do meditations throughout month and month to become a new self. Very profound material. I'm a big fan of him, and meditations is just not even discussable. It's not even negotiable. Focus on yourself first, then others. Not other way around. Don't be afraid to put yourself first. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to confront people. Do your things first. Buy things for yourself. Get to know yourself. Spend time alone. Go on walks. Travel alone. Meditate alone. Have conversations with yourself. Get to know yourself from inside out. How do you react to different situations? How do you react in different conflict situations? How do you react under stress, under fear, under excitement? You will see patterns. You react in predictable ways that you can change if you don't like. And when you become familiar with all of this spectrum of things that you do and you feel and how you react, you will be ready anytime it comes up, and you can tweak it and you can change it and you can improve all these little pieces and mechanisms inside of you to better manage your life and to interact with the world. This is how you develop relationship with yourself. You grow your self-love inside, just like from a little seed. Imagine how would you treat a girl that you took on a date. Now imagine how would you treat yourself if you took yourself on a date. Keep that mindset in mind. Whenever you walk around, treat yourself like your best date ever, and see how you bloom and blossom from that seed of love. Your branches coming out, your flowers are coming out and blossoming. It works, and it translates into the world. You see more love, you see more positive things. You gain confidence, people see it, you're glowing. People interact with you differently, and because you see them differently, you give off different energy. When you love yourself, truly love yourself and know your worth. And in the end of it, you get what you accept. Standards. Depending on the level of your self-love, you accept certain situations or certain behaviors towards yourself. And it directly relates to your self-love. The less you love yourself, the more bullshit you accept towards yourself. The more situations that you don't like, you will accept, because you will not be able to say no to these situations or take yourself out of it. The more you love yourself, the more standards you will have. and the more power and the more control you will have when it will come to choosing the situation and your behavior in the situation and how others behave towards you. If someone is acting disrespectful, you can say it straight away. Remove yourself from the situation. If someone is asking you for too much, you can say, no, it's too much for me, without any fear of being misunderstood or rejected or whatever. It's more freeing when you fully possess your energy and you're fully in control. Your self-love, you love yourself, you respect yourself, you walk with a straight back, you glow, you value your energy, you value your time just like a gold. And as a result of this, others will value your time, will value your energy, and treat you like gold. So this is up to you how you want to be treated. But start inside, start within you. Plant that seed of self-love and cherish it, grow it, water it. Develop a relationship with yourself and improve it. Keep improving it. Watch it grow and blossom. Self-love is a superpower. And I believe in you, and I see you in the next one. And if you haven't seen my video, Mastering Relationships, where I talk more about relationship to yourself and love to yourself, which translates with better relationship with others, you might want to check it out.